welcome. My name is True Universal, 1/3 of When the Gods Build. I'm here with my good friend, Ashley McBride. We've been knowing each other for over 20 years. We don't look like it though.
Thank God.
Health is wealth, baby.
Yes.
How long have you been in the counseling industry?
I've been in the counseling helping profession since 2008. When I went to college at Norfolk State, I was working at the community center that's right there at Norfolk State's campus, and I started as a mentor, and just over the years have worked my way up into different positions and roles. So I started as a mentor, and now I'm a fully licensed professional counselor.
So what are some of the craziest things you've seen in the counseling profession industry? If you can talk about it, because we know HIPAA and all that stuff.
Craziest things I've seen in the field? It's just life, but the one thing that will always kind of stand out and I remember is when I worked at Centera Norfolk General Hospital. I worked on the psychiatric unit, and I was on the adult unit and the geriatric unit. So geriatric unit is for patients that are 64 and up. So 18 to 64 is just like the regular adult unit, and then after that they have a geriatric unit for psych patients. And one day on the adult unit, we had a patient in there who was definitely not stable, a very aggressive type. And we had a mental health tech that didn't have good people skills. And I was on break, and as I was coming back in from the break, they were giving out lunch trays, and the mental health worker had said something very snarky to this patient and had turned around to walk off, and the patient punched them in the back of the head, and they fell into me. I was literally coming in for our little shift change. They fell onto me. I caught them, and I remember just throwing my hand up saying, "Stop!" And the patient just looked, and then they grabbed this coffee pot and then just threw it down the hall. And the person was crying and holding the back of their head, and it was just something that I won't forget, because I'm in the real world, you don't do that in general. You know, you don't talk crap to people and then turn your back. That's just common sense. But then on top of the fact that we're in the mental health field, how you communicate with people is very important, and so the way that I was able to just put my hand up and say stop, and he responded to that. He could have charged at me, but he didn't. He picked up a coffee pot and threw it down the hall. And so for me, that was just one of those moments where it's people have to be very careful about how they interact with people, especially if you're going to work on a psychiatric unit.
So common sense is not common these days.
So that's something that I would never forget. Obviously, seeing someone get punched in the back of the head and they fall on me, and then I'm stop, and then they listen, and I'm oh my goodness. But that's probably the one thing that just will always stand out in my career. That moment.
To be a fly on that wall.
Working on the psych units is interesting. Another thing in the psych unit that I wouldn't forget was there was a patient there that was pregnant, and they were receiving ECT, is electroconvulsion therapy. And I just couldn't get behind that. We shocking people's brain, they pregnant, just something I couldn't get with, but those are the practices, they still happen today.
That doesn't sound sustainable. For
some people it works. For some people it works, at least in the moment. We don't really know what those long-term effects are.
That's what I'm thinking. Like you said, pregnant. How's the baby's nervous system after all that?
So I just was I just felt maybe there was another option. But again, if you're doing medication, pregnant, it's there's no way around it at that point. The baby is definitely going to be affected by that. So that was something else that really stuck with me over the years, just seeing that.
What would you say was the most traumatic thing that you've seen? Maybe it's not one of those situations, but it's just something that's or maybe that's not even the right question to ask.
Well, I have my own trauma. So I don't necessarily have any trauma from the workplace, but I have trauma in my life that even being assaulted by a Norfolk police officer and having to go to court for over a year, just dealing with that. And I ended up working for the Community Services Board in their CIT department, and so you have to work directly with police. And so I was just very happy that that wasn't something that stifled me for a long time, that I was able to still like move forward, even though I had that experience of being assaulted by a Black male police officer and just dealing with that. But I enjoyed working in CIT, and I like the fact that they were giving that type of training to police officers, because even though it wasn't a mental health issue that was going on during that traffic stop and how he acted, maybe if he was exposed to more intervention trainings or just maybe giving his own mental health support, because he had a record, you know, he had a track record as a police officer of definitely abusing his power. So, you know, in that sense, just still being able to work in the field and not be like totally distraught by that situation. Yeah, that was the one and only time in my life that I was actually homicidal. Like, and that is not fun. People like laugh about that, and they're like, I've been homicidal. Like, that is, it's scary that you're waking up every day, going to sleep every night. You are consumed with thoughts on how you're gonna kill somebody.
Right.
That is exhausting. And, you know, but I felt that way, you know, because he was still in the community. I was still seeing him. Like, it was a lot to have to deal with. And of course, knowing what I know now, I would have probably like got NAACP involved. I would have filed a lawsuit, all type of stuff. But I didn't know what, you know, what to do, and, you know, just things like that. But as far as my own trauma goes, like, I have my own trauma. So as far as workplace trauma, I haven't experienced that.
Oh, were you when this took place?
I had just graduated from Norfolk State, so I was about 21.
Wow, that's young.
I was 21.
Yes, it's a very young age to have that experience and then, you know, carry it with you throughout the years.
Yeah, it's definitely something you won't forget. But I survived. That's something I learned about myself. I am a survivor. Like, no matter what happens, I'm still gonna come out. I'm a survivor. But so I think being a counselor, like, you obviously have to be aware to your own traumas and triggers and things like that. Because being a counselor wasn't anything that was like on my childhood to-do list.
Yeah.
Like, I never was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a counselor. It just was something that I fell into because of my childhood and things that I had experienced, and I was going to therapy, you know, as a teenager, and short experience because in my family session, my dad had a brain aneurysm, and so that like changed my life. But the counselor that I had, she was so disconnected, and I was like, if she can do it, I can do it, because I actually care about people. And that's how I actually got on the board to like go to Norfolk State for psychology, and then from there I was like, I'm going to be a counselor. So I went to Hampton for their counseling program, but it was never on my radar to be a counselor. It just happened because of like life experiences that led me to that.
Growing up,
I wanted to be, you know, a lawyer. I wanted to be a gastroenterologist. I wanted to be an artist. You know, I like to sing and dance. I wanted to be the queen of my own island, you know, so it was stuff like that that I was into. It was never about counseling. But like I said, life events led me to the field, and I've been in it since 2008.
So for the people that don't know, what is a gastroenterologist? I know what it is because I have my own. So I know what it is.
So a gastroenterologist is a doctor who specializes pretty much in the gut. So your intestines and all of that stuff. They're like your stomach doctor. And my sister, my cousin, they used to do this rites of passage program back in the day, and they had this event at a lady's house, and her house was just so nice. It was brick. She had an indoor pool, and I remember her saying like, "What does she do?" And they were like, "She's a gastroenterologist." And I was like, "I want to be a gastroenterologist."
Okay.
But knowing what that is, like, I'm nobody's doctor or nurse.
Yeah.
I don't have steady hands. I get a little queasy with stuff, so I can't really be a doctor. I mean, I'm sure I could if I had to, but that isn't something that I would actually want to do now. It was
nice.
just, I like the lifestyle. I was like, oh, she is balling. I want to be a gastroenterologist like her. But yeah.
Okay, fine. You've been in the counseling profession 16 years, so I hear that you're getting out. Yeah, 2008, 2024, 16.
Yes. Okay, so it has been a while because I graduated from Hampton almost 10 years ago. So yeah. I'm ready for a change. I am ready for a change.
Why?
I'm just at this space in my life where it's like I want to focus on myself.
Okay.
And that's the main point. There, it's like a spider, and you got all these 8 legs. The main point is that I'm just ready to focus on myself, and I just want to pour into myself totally. So I want a career change. And then there's these other pieces out here that just kind of support those reasons why. You know, there's some good reasons, there's some things that are not so good about it, but you know, that's life, that's the balance. You got to take the good with the bad. But overall, I'm just ready for a career change.
Okay. You decided what that career change is?
Somewhat.
Okay.
And it's been challenging because, like I said, I've been in the field for a while, and I have, 99.9% of my clients, they are great, and I have a deep appreciation for them. And so it was hard letting them know that, I was going to be transitioning out. Yeah. Because they've been with me for some time. I've had my practice since 2021. Okay. Like my own independent practice, so, and some of them were working with me before I started my business. Some of them have come to me since I've had my business, but we have good relationships, and it was hard. When my friend passed away, I took a leave of absence because I just needed some time away, but it was only for short periods of time, for maybe like a month or something like that. And I'm just like at that place where it's like no more leave of absence. Like, even though this is a leave of absence, because I would like to come back at some point, but I don't really have a real date for it, because I really want to just kind of spread my wings in a different way now and just pursue something totally different. And if I am brought back to the field, I want it to be because I really want to do it and I'm 100% invested in it. I feel like right now I just want to be 100% invested in myself. Okay. And that's just kind of where I'm at, so I have, some reasons for that. Like I said, there's always going to be good and bad in any industry. Right. But overall, the big picture is that I'm ready to pour into myself 100%. Okay. And I feel like I would be better served for myself and to serve other people if I have poured into myself 100%. Gotcha. This year was really rough, and a lot of the things that I was going through, it made me kind of question like my own abilities and skills. And there were times where like every day before a session, like I had to pray just to get mentally there to do it, to take on someone else, because I felt like I had so much going on. So I was strong enough to get through it, but I don't want to serve from that space of like I gotta like really muster up the strength to like do this. It wasn't like that before. So I just felt like it was time for me to respect the fact that I needed to just nurture myself, and it's okay for me to take a break from nurturing others. I love to do that, but doing that as a job, like that's your job, that's what you do every day, it gets heavy sometimes. You're taking in a lot, and to have to do that, and you're trying to fill your cup too, and yours is like running on empty, it gets hard. And so I realized, like, even though I'm, at least from what people say, I'm good at what I'm doing internally, how I feel about that, I was like, I don't want to keep doing it like this. So I was like, I need to make a change. So I had to do that. And like I said, it was hard. I had some clients that, broke down on me when I told them I was, going and stuff. And that was hard, because it is like relationships. And that's why I say it's kind of like that, the good with the bad, because you have some people that respect, like, even though they're coming to you for this service, like, it's a relationship.
Right.
And some people value and respect that relationship, some people don't. You know, it's like, oh, it's a service I'm paying for. So that was another reason why I was ready to transition out the field. It kind of felt a little bit dehumanizing. It's like, oh, people know you're a counselor. It's like this certain expectation. It's almost like you're not human anymore. Like you're just this counselor and you've got all these answers, and I have to explain to people like, that's not what a counselor is. A counselor is just a person who has an understanding of mental health diagnoses, and they can do assessments, they can diagnose you, and they can help you put a plan together to address your issues. They can help you set some goals. They can educate you about mental health.
Right.
That doesn't mean that I'm not a person that doesn't have feelings.
Right.
And like I said, most of my clients are really great. So I feel respected and valued by most of my clients. But there are some clients that, because of where they are in their healing journey, they are not at that space where they have that capacity to treat someone as another human being outside of their label. Right? Because you build relationships with people. Yeah. Right? So it's like, of course, as a counselor, you know, we got to do the whole informed consent. We have our own services and agreements and contracts. And I honor most of that, but the things I don't honor is usually like if a person doesn't come to an appointment, I'm supposed to, you know, charge them. I rarely do that. Okay. Just because of like that human side of me to like, life is tough, you know, and even though I started my own business and my rates are more than 50% less than the market value. Like that was the whole point of me starting my own business, so that I could provide quality, affordable mental health services. Right. You know, and you need those contracts in place, but because of how I am as a person, it just doesn't always align with my values, you know. And so so things like that. And again, you have clients that are very appreciative and respectful of that, and then you have other people who are just like, well, I don't care. It's like, it's just therapy, but they forget it's like it's a person that you're meeting with, you know. And so it feels a little dehumanizing sometimes, or like I said, just that expectation of like, well, you're a counselor, so you're supposed to do this or you're supposed to be that, and I just didn't want that label anymore. Like I wanted to be like, people just know me for who I am, and if they come to me for things, that's just what they choose to do, versus like, I am this person and so this is what I have to do. Right. Like I want to be in a space where it's like I can just exist and people just come to me if they need those things, versus I have to like put myself out there in that space for people to be aware of who I am so that they can come and seek me out. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense.
So I definitely see myself being able to do it. Like I see myself doing it like when I'm older. Okay. Like an older woman.
And you like that seasoned
50,
lady,
60 years old.
Got a little pepper gray in there.
Yeah, you know, so I mean, I would love to do it part-time, but for right now, it's like I needed a total disconnect. Okay. So after January
2025.
I'm pulling out the plug.
Yeah. I get it. Since you know, there's some time in between now and pulling the plug. In what ways have you started pouring into yourself?
Well, I felt like I was someone who had a really good work-life balance, and then over the past year, with so many things that had happened, I just poured myself into like traveling, but then that felt like it didn't feel like a resolution anymore. Okay. Like, you know how sometimes you can go on a trip somewhere and you feel real good after that trip is over and you're yes, this is nice. I would come back and feel devastated.
Yeah, reality is like I'm like, all right. I was like, it's like you're in like your own little fantasy world, and you come back to reality. I'm just like, oh, it's dull here. Like the cost of living is too high. The people are not friendly. The food is not healthy. The air is polluted. The water is contaminated. Like I want to go back to Spain, Singapore, Japan, where everything is just. So yeah, I understand.
I just felt like I was being called for more. And like I said, anything that I do, I like to give my all to it. And I just started to feel like I have to pour into myself, and I can't do it in the terms of like a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like, I have to go and pursue something else. Like I said, being a counselor was never something that was like, oh, this is on my radar. When I grow up, I'm going to be a counselor. I came into the field because of life experiences, and I've enjoyed it. Like I said, it's been years. I have enjoyed my career thus far, but now I feel like it's not about career. It's not about how much money you're making. It's not about any of those things. It's about, what do I actually want to do? And I'm giving myself the room to kind of explore that, because I really don't know.
Right.
Outside of just wanting to have some land and grow a garden and start a family, I don't really have any, like, oh, what do I want to do? And so as I was going on this journey this year, stuff was coming back to me, like writing the poems and putting a good book. I'm like, man, I want to do a book. I'm working on a mental health workbook right now. Like, I'm back into that space of like creating.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in that space of like, I don't necessarily want to talk to people and deal with people in that way. I want to create, I want to put things out there, and if that touches someone and that starts a conversation, cool, all down for it. But I don't want to be in a space where I'm like, yeah, I sit down at this time and I talk to people.
Right.
I want to cast my net a little wider and in a different space. Okay. So I'm just kind of in that space now where I'm just allowing myself to kind of explore, and that's why I say I really don't know what career I'm going to be in. I just know that I don't want to continue being in the counseling field right now.
Gotcha.
And it's not because I don't love it or I don't like it. I just don't feel like that's for me right now. And looking back from 2008 to now, I feel like you're entitled to make a change. Like, it's been a while.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, it has been a while. You know, in 3 years, it'll been 20 years
right.
of being exposed to the mental health field. So I'm like, it's okay to shift gears a bit. And I encourage people to do that. And they're coming to me talking about things. I encourage them, and it's just like, I was starting to feed into that for myself. And I'm like, even though this might hurt you, make some of the clients sad, you're gonna be sad, but it's ultimately for the greater good. Because let's say if you do come back and you get to do it in a totally different way, it can be even more impactful versus you just continuing to chug and wither away, and then you're not effective anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just time for a change. I want to affect people in a different way, and not necessarily from being known as, oh, this counselor that has this mental health knowledge and is gonna tell me what to do. No, I just want to be me and create and do what I do. And if that inspires healing in someone else, or change or growth or whatever in someone, cool. Right. I'm here for it. So I just want a different role. I still want to create. I still want to give back. I still want to help people. I just want to do it in a different way.
We're here for it.
Thank you.
We're definitely here for it. You know, as we close, do you have any advice or suggestions for the people, you know, that'll be tuning in?
Not really advice. I don't do advice. What I will share is that I'm very happy that the stigma around mental health is decreasing every single day. It warms my heart to see where we are collectively when it comes to mental health in comparison to 2008 to now. Like, I just love to see that bill has been lifted. It
was necessary.
It was. And I just encourage people, go to therapy. Nothing wrong with it. Talk to people. Do group therapy. Put yourself in spaces where you can tend to your mental health.
Right.
That should be a daily practice, not just something that you do when tragedy strikes and now it's like, oh, I gotta go do this. Like, you can tend to yourself in other ways other than just going to therapy, you know? So I encourage people, like, be aware to your mental health. You know, spend time with that, nurture that part of yourself. And if you do feel like you need support, trust me, there is a counselor out there for you.
Yeah.
There is, okay? I've been to therapy before. 9 times out of 10, if I stopped, it's just because it was so expensive. Again, why I decided to start my own business, so that I could do it in an affordable way. But don't be afraid to reach out to talk to somebody, because there's somebody there who wants to listen. Yeah. There is somebody there who does care. Okay, so I would just say, find your person. Find your person.
Yeah. In all areas of life. Find your person, find your people, build your tribe.
Absolutely.
You know, because community is important. You gotta have your community. You know, and they may not look like you, you know, your physical appearance. They may, you know, look completely different, and that's okay too.
So my clients, from the new client, first out, the first session, I'm like, listen, I could be gone tomorrow. My thing is that I make sure that you have the resources, you have the tools, you know where to go for support, you know what to do if something happens, because I don't want you to make me your end all be all. I can't be your end all be all. So I kind of prep clients from day one that, hey, this relationship is going to come to an end at some point, whether it's by choice or not. It's going to come to an end at some point, and when that day comes, I want you to be prepared. Right? The same way when clients come to us and we sit and we're like, I hope I see them again, or I follow up, or whatever the case may be. You might not always get that closure. Okay? And it is what it is. That's a part of life. But for me, I make sure that I try to give them what I would want somebody to give me. You know, so even though it is hard sometimes, you know, and it is a journey, you know, people are pouring out who they are to you, and so that is a relationship in itself, and so it's not one that I take lightly. And so I think second time around coming into the field, I definitely will be a bit more selective on who I take, because my stance, even when I was doing supervision for residents, is like, you know, my fisher net is out there. I can work with anybody. It's about who wants to work with me. I think second time around, and being, like I said, older, more seasoned in it, I might be a little bit more selective about who I choose to work with. Not because I don't have the ability to just work with anybody, but because I also want to respect myself enough to just not take in and take on any and everybody, because that has its own
weight. Definitely.
So it's been a great journey. I have grown so much. I have seen so many people grow. It has definitely been a beautiful thing. Like I said, I have been blessed that I haven't had any lack in my business. The clients that I have worked with have all made some progress in some way, shape, or form. It is beautiful. And so I've had a very good experience in my counseling field, and I'm so thankful for that. And even though it's coming to an end, it's just an end for a new beginning. And so the only thing I want people to know is that there are people out here that just genuinely care, and there's no intention behind it. There's no hidden agenda behind it. There are people out here who just care. And I encourage some people to just find somebody like that in their life, to be around someone genuine and learn to be okay with that and to receive that.
Definitely. Well, as we close, I do appreciate you coming through the studio.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. It's just so great. It's just like how we were, you know, growing up, Northside Middle School, being kids, you know, having to wait till the bell ring to go inside the school in the cold, to now like being fully adult humans and having life and love and sadness and all these different things that come with it. It's just like, we're here.
Yeah, we're here. We're here, and I'm so excited for this next phase of life.
And then
I'm so excited.
We're waiting to see you, 20, 30 years from now with the salt and pepper look.
I already got a little salt and pepper going on here,
No. But hey, that's a beautiful thing too. Because sometimes it's not from stress, it's just, you know, just from life.
Just life.
Yeah.
Just life.
That's beautiful. Find you.
So, I'm leaving in January, but you can find me online, Ashley McBride, LPC, Portsmouth, Virginia. My office is at 739 High Street, Portsmouth, Virginia. You can contact me by phone or email. My business line is 757-977-3254. If you have any questions, I will be happy to assist you and point you in the right direction.
There we go. And with that, we shall say peace, and y'all have a great day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Of course.